Hi everyone, merhaba, this is Ayşenur Altan. Welcome to Turkish Food Recipes. In this episode, I have a very authentic Turkish pudding recipe, Ashura or Noah's pudding, to share with you. It is a healthy dessert with ingredients like dried fruits, legumes and whole grain wheat, sweetened with sugar and fruit juices and cooked all together in one pot. It is a saying that Prophet Noah gathered all of the remaining foodstuffs to make the sweet pudding when he and his family left the ark. Today it is customary to share the dish with others. So let's get started. First of all, we have small preparations to make the day before. I have 1.5 cups of whole grain wheat here. I'm going to cook it until it boils in the pressure cooker. And in here I have 1/2 cup each chickpeas and white beans. I'm going to soak it. You can also use canned cooked beans if you like, to make it easier. Meanwhile, my whole grain wheats are boiled. I'm going to drain this water and add more hot water. You can just eyeball it and make the double size of the wheat you have. I'm also gonna add about 3 tablespoons rice and cook it again about 5 minutes. Then turn off the heat, close the lid and let it cool until next morning. The next day, my beans are soaked well. I'm going to cook them on low-medium heat until they are soft. Let's check our whole grain wheat. As you can see, it soaks all the water and opens up, and this way it will be easier to cook now. I'm gonna add more hot water over it and continue to cook on low heat about 1 hour. We will check it again. After this point, you don't have to use a pressure cooker anymore, the lid. Just make sure you have plenty of hot water next to it and add more if needed, because it will continue to swell and soak the water. After about half an hour or 45 minutes, you will see the change, that it will become thicker, release its starch. Let's check the beans. They look almost soft. Since it will continue to cook with all the other ingredients, I turn off the heat. And here I have my dried fruits I'm gonna use. I have dried figs and apricots, 1 cup each, chopped in little squares, and also I have 1 cup dried raisins. I'm going to soak them in hot water and use for our ashura. In some recipes, some people prefer their ashura lighter in color. To achieve it, they don't use the water they soak the fruits, but since I like the amber color you get from the fruits, and also it has the rich taste to it and all vitamins, I prefer to add the water too. It's been 1 hour since my grain began to cook. You can see the difference. It's getting thicker. And now it's time to add the beans. And I'm gonna continue to cook them all together to combine the taste of the ingredients. I always have hot water with me on the side. I'm gonna add more and continue to cook. In small jezve I have about 4-5 pieces of cloves. I'm gonna boil them for 5 minutes and use the water to flavor my ashura. In winter time I like to use orange rind. It really gives a nice flavor, and also chestnuts go so well with this dessert too. But since the month of Ashura in moon calendar comes to summer times now, I couldn't use it this time. Also, another ingredient to flavor your ashura is cinnamon sticks, 1 or 2 would be enough to give it nice flavor. It's been about 1.5 hours cooking, and you see it's bubbling with its starch, very creamy like a pudding. And now I add the dried fruits. With its juice it becomes thinner again, and I'm going to continue to cook about 5 more minutes until all the flavors comes together and it thickens again. Here is the juice of cloves, and after the fruits you will see the change, that it will become an amber color. To get the right consistency in the ashura pudding is also important, since it will be thicker when it cools down. It should be thin and runny when it is still hot. It still needs more water, so I added more and continue to simmer it for 10 more minutes until all the Before the final check for the consistency, I will add the sugar now, since the sugar will melt and make it thinner again. It is better you add the water for the last time after sugar dissolves. The beauty of this dessert is that you can taste it and add more sugar if you want. You can make it with less sugar or more, depends on your taste. In total I added about 3 cups of sugar, and still it was not too sweet. If somehow your ashura is thinner than you think, if you add more water by mistake, just mix about 1 tablespoon cornstarch with water to make it runny. Mix it with your ashura, cook for 2-3 more minutes until it thickens again, and this is a small hint for you. At the last minute I'm adding 1 tablespoon rose water to make it extra flavorful. I'm gonna check the consistency one more time, and I add a little more water again, and this is the final look and consistency that I'm looking for. It's still runny, shiny, all combined together. It will thicken when it cools down. It is a tradition, you always cook your ashura more than you need and share with the others, your neighbors, friends and relatives. This recipe yields about 30 portions serving size. I'm using disposable aluminum foil cups for my neighbors, so they don't have to return it. And after it is cooled down, the best fun part begins. I'm going to decorate it with some nuts, apricots, raisins, coconuts, dried figs and pomegranate. Make sure you wait enough that top of the ashura sets before you begin to decorate it. First I sprinkled ground cinnamon and then coconut flakes. Next, adding some dried fruits. You can chop it differently to make a nice shape or pattern. And my favorite is pomegranate. It looks beautiful and also makes it tastier. If you can't find, try to use cranberries on top. That would be great too. Use plenty of nuts. You can use hazelnuts, walnuts, pine nuts, all of them. And also you can make it different from what you have in your region. It is really a versatile recipe. It is also a light, healthy dessert, I think. I hope you try and let me know the result. Thanks for watching. Please give thumbs up and leave your comments if you liked the recipe. I hope to see you in another delicious Turkish food recipes. Afiyet olsun.